Hi, this is Robert, and I have a story I want to share with you today. I started the channel Aging in America just a day ago, and in less than about 30 hours, we've already had almost 3,000 views and well over 100 subscribers. It seems that people want to talk about aging in America, the fact that oftentimes we feel lost or we feel neglected as seniors in this country. But I also want to share that there are some positive stories, some great stories. And as part of aging, we also have to think about some of the aspects of end of life questions and issues too, about dying in America. And I had a story that I wanted to share, and I think it's a pretty special story. I'm a pastor. I have performed well over 200 services, a lot of those in Illinois, a lot of them since we moved here 4 years ago, here in the Chandler, Arizona area. And there's one in particular a couple of years ago that really struck home with me, and that is there was a woman. Her name was Janet Ann, no last names. And it really stood out to me because I have a sister named Janet Ann. Well, um, Janet Ann had never married. She had no children. She had no family that we could find or that the funeral home could find. She had lived the last several years in a nursing home in California. Recently, for whatever reason, I don't know that the funeral home ever just found out, she had transferred to the Phoenix, Arizona area. And while in the nursing home, she had asked for a representative of the funeral home to come to the nursing home to talk to her. Well, years ago, Janet Ann had pre-planned her entire funeral. And I don't know if it's because she knew way back when that no one else would be around to do that or not. I don't know the circumstance, but she called the general manager, and the general manager went to her to the nursing home, and they discussed all the arrangements. And Janet Ann was very thorough in her arrangements, including the fact she wanted to be buried in a pink dress. So the day came, she passed, and the funeral director reached out to me about doing the service, and I agreed, obviously. And we thought, well, let's reach out to, let's find family, let's find friends. There has to be someone here that we can reach out to make sure to bring in and incorporate and be part of the service. They found no one. They reached out and they found no children, no family, no cousins, no brothers. Every search came up empty. They went back and talked to the nursing home in California, came up empty. So but Janet Ann had done it a full job. She had done the whole thing. She wanted catering, she wanted the music, she wanted flowers, she wanted a coach ride to the grave, and she'd paid for it all. So the director made sure she was going to get it all. We assumed on the day of that some of the funeral home people or the nursing home people would come to the service, but we were preparing to start the service. No one came. No one came. And so, in one of the most beautiful gestures, the funeral home director, she went around to every person in the building. She gathered around 30 people up and said, Janet Ann paid for people to come in and visit, come to the service and enjoy the catering and be part of it. And you're going to do that. So she's told everybody, take half hour, and we're all going to the service. So 30 people marched into the room where we had the service. And we gave a full service. We gave her what she paid for. I did the eulogy. We sang the song she had chosen. She loved the color pink, and she wanted in the service to make sure to talk about how important the color pink was to her and how important her cats were to her. And we talked about it and called her cats by name. And when the service was over, we asked several of the employees to serve as pallbearers, and they did. And we carried the casket out to the coach. We then went to the graveside. The pallbearers helped load in and bring the casket to the graveside. We stood there, and I said a few words and read the Lord's Prayer in the 23rd Psalm that she had requested. She was lowered into the ground. And that was the conclusion of the service. Everyone went back inside, and we enjoyed the catering. that Janet Ann had provided. And we shared stories. I asked everyone to come up with a story at the tables. Where do you think Janet Ann may have gone in her lifetime? And we told some stories. She may have gone to, she was in California. Maybe she went to Hawaii. Maybe that's where she found the color pink. Maybe she had a boyfriend when she was young and he gave her pink roses. We shared stories that may or have probably have nothing to do with reality, but we were there to enjoy what Janet Ann had prepared and left for us to enjoy of her life. So, not every story about funerals and funeral homes is sad. There's a sadness to this, but there's also very much a beauty to this too. That the funeral home staff, they're incredible. They cared enough to make sure her final wishes were carried out. I hope you enjoy this. And we'll have more topics about living and about dying. There are realities. It's not everything just about the hardship of living as a senior, but there are some things we need to talk about when it comes to our final wishes and estate planning. And I'm not an estate planner. Um, about funeral homes, about who to talk to, about um, counseling for you as a survivor of when you lose a spouse. Again, I'm not a counselor, but there are a lot of support agencies and support staff that are available. We'll talk about a lot of things that are related to dying in America. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. We will talk again soon. God bless.